Does your company have a surveillance policy? Do you know how much of your emails or communications that they're monitoring? And for that matter, are they recording conversations you might be having any place in the building? We want to bring in Victoria Pelletier. She is a tech and work expert. She's a tech and business leadership expert, joining us with some advice on this. But first of all, if you can, Victoria, thank you for joining us. Frame for us a scenario in which an employer might be monitoring what an employee is doing.
Well, thanks for having me here. There's been an outcry lately as a result of Microsoft having what's called productivity score. And this is a part of their technology, their Office suite of products. It was intended for good. It was to look at collaboration and engagement and the way in which employees were using the technology to make sure they were using it more efficiently and effectively. The outcry came when individual employee information was available to managers. Subsequently, Microsoft just turned that part of the feature off.
So in other words, they were able to, we thought initially what they were doing was collecting data from all of their employees without identifying who they were, to get a general sense of what the workplace culture or workflow was. Like, how active is this population of employees, generally speaking? Where are they less active in communicating? And it came down to specific employees. So that can take a toll when a company decides to take that information and use it against an employee, I would think.
Yeah, I do believe that the intent from Microsoft was to ensure that companies and teams, not individuals, were using the technology the most effective, right? In fact, their data showed that using the cloud to work on documents and collaborate versus emailing them back and forth saved almost 2 hours a week. That was the intent. But yes, managers at one point had individual employee productivity data, which gave cause for concern for the employees, questioning, do my managers trust me? And that's really important in creating a great work environment, is that they believe that the leadership trusts them to deliver.
So where is the line here? Let's talk about, first of all, worst case scenario in a workplace that wants to use these tools in a way that is not for good, but in a nefarious way. Could they be recording conversations that you have in an office with a boss? Could they be recording conversations that you have with other employees and reviewing them later? How far could this go?
Well, I think most companies are, first of all, recording what's done, their digital footprint, everything we do on our laptops or PCs that are provided. Now, are they going so far as to record conversations in all of the conference rooms? There may be some, quite frankly, but what we're seeing more and more are companies standing up data and AI ethics boards to take a look and have conversation around how do they use not only employee but customer data for good, and to make sure that they're using it really only for ethical purposes.
What would you say to employees who work someplace where they feel like, and maybe they have evidence to support it, that data or their usage or the time spent on their work computers is being collected and then being used against them in ways that just aren't fair? I mean, is there recourse? Is there legal recourse? And what can an employee do if they feel like they're being compromised?
Well, I think, first of all, employees should recognize that when we sign our offer letters from employers, we are actually signing acknowledgement for use of our data and privacy on the machines. And remember, cybersecurity in particular, one of the main reasons a lot of our digital footprint is monitored, costs $600 billion a year, right? So we as employees do authorize that use. That said, again, creating a culture and environment of trust and transparency. And there's two things that we should expect in that. One, for leadership to be very clear around what deliverables or outcomes are expected from employees without micromanaging them down to, let's say, the 15-minute increment and how they spend their time. That's number one. Employees should feel very comfortable in bringing forward to their HR, employee relations, or complaints and appeals department if they feel that any of the data is being used unfairly against them.
So if there's a project that's due and a deadline is looming and you've met that deadline and everything is great, then an employee shouldn't be judged if their computer shows, let's say they paid a power bill and took 15 minutes out of their workday. Those are that's a real practical example. Somebody is working on this screen and over here they're paying their power bill.
Absolutely. My philosophy with my team has always been there are no schedules, there are just deliverables. So setting very clear expectations for the outcomes that we're expecting to deliver for one another and for our clients or customers. How they choose to do that is really up to them, particularly now as we all work remotely and we're sitting at our desks much longer than we may have previously. So as you said, paying a bill, or quite frankly, if you need a short break and you want to watch a cat video, whatever works for you, as long as the work is getting done.
Right, and you never know, for every cat video someone watches at 2 in the afternoon, they're working on their project at 1 a.m. So
Exactly.
It balances out. Deliverables, not schedules. I want you to be my boss, Victoria. Victoria Pelletier joining us. Thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it. You can follow Victoria there on her website, victoriapelletier.com. Also on Twitter, and there's her Instagram handle as well.